As CD-ROM drives slowly crept into the home in the early 90s, all sorts of multimedia-centric products started to make use of it. Edutainment titles were there right from the get-go, one of the better uses of the technology perhaps, due to it actually having a point, a purpose, rather than simply sticking a heap of irrelevant and useless assets onto a disk and hoping to shift enough units before the novelty factor had died down. The early Learning Houses series kicked off in 1992, and while they did come on floppies for the first few years, Edmark wasted no time in adopting optical storage once CD drives had entered enough homes. Today on YesterYear's Mac Games, we're going to have a look at all the activities in all 4 of its main installments. 2 of these I used when I was a child. The other 2 are new to me, so we'll kick off with the ones I have memories of. Let's start with Sammy's Science House. This came pre-installed on an iMac G3, which I still have. 5 activities then. Let's start with the least scientific, the Movie Maker.
Let's make a movie.
Assemble a pointless clip of a mundane situation and play it to a cinema of very easily entertained idiots who... Wait, it's for ages 3 to 7, isn't it? I'll tone it down a bit. Ooh, wasn't that good? I'm not entirely sure what this teaches aside from basic problem solving.
That was fun. Let's do it again.
No, let's not. We'll gawp over the sorting centre next. This is the first example of being able to click on the portrait of a critter to have them change the activity a bit and boss the children around. Not here though, it doesn't matter if the squirrel is present or not, the user is still doing the same thing, which is separating the flora and fauna into the correct bin.
Help me sort these pictures.
I suppose I did learn something here.
Gila monster.
I'd never heard of that before, some lizard from North America apparently.
Gila monster.
But it took me some trial and error in a search engine to find out what it was.
Thanks.
I thought the woman was saying humour monster. I got an awful lot of rubbish in that search.
Clustered inocebi mushroom.
What 7-year-old is going to remember a name like that? Staying with the biology theme, Acorn Pond is something I paid no attention to back in the day. This sounds stupid, but as a kid, I didn't realise this window, if you can call it that, it's more of a hole with a shelf, was even clickable. I think a younger cousin eventually found it, but at that point I was too old to care. Anyway, Acorn Pond depicts a body of water across the 4 seasons.
White-tailed deer.
Clicking on the animals sets off a basic description.
Squirrels smell to find nuts they have buried.
And inviting this owl to join in will have it instruct the user to locate various animals that correspond to a particular attribute or action.
Please try again.
Clueless kids can get a bit of help if they make repeat mistakes. Actually, that happens in most of the activities across all Learning House applications, which is quite good. The weather machine is probably the best of the bunch here. Choose various weather types and watch this individual enjoy or endure it. Is it a dog?
How can she bear that rain?
Oh, a bear. I never heard that line before. News to me. The weather bear will instruct the user to manufacture various conditions.
Can you make a cold, windy day with no snow?
The last one here is a construction set. Put together various bits and pieces and watch them animate upon completion. Sadly, it wouldn't let me create an elephant-duck hybrid.
That piece is not used.
I guess the world isn't ready for it quite yet. Before we move on to the next program, it's worth pointing out that the CDs had what could be considered a README file. Sort of. A bit of additional multimedia for the parents to find out about what skills their offspring are developing through faffing around with the software. Nice idea, but it could have been just text. I'm running this on a Performer 630 and it takes an absolute age to load the video clips off of the CD. Millie's Math House is next. This is the one I spent the most time on and the second computer program I will have ever used after Thinking Things Collection 2, which was pre-installed alongside it on the Family Performer 5200. It took a bit of faffing around to locate the original 1992 version. I eventually found it on that very machine's software restore disk. The CD re-release is from 1995 and is of course superior. The resolution is higher, some of the activities have been tweaked, the voice recordings are improved, and a new activity has been added. We'll dispatch that one first.
Let's play What's My Number?
Dorothy the Duck thinks up either a number or basic sum for the user to mirror by placing the equivalent number of items onto the stage.
You got that one right.
Seems as good as implementation of this concept as any other, although it doesn't seem all that fun. Perhaps that's because it's new to me, but most likely because it's about actual maths. Build a Bug got a significant enhancement too. The older version just treated it like a sandbox, where users could put between 1 and 12 of the same features on a grinning sausage, while the newer ones added this rabbit, who appears to have forgotten his trousers, to instruct the user in what to put on the bugs.
Make a bug with 6 feet.
Everything else from here on in is from the older version. because that was my version. Bing and Boing is based around making patterns. They bounce around to reveal shapes and animals and can ask the user.
What comes next?
Max with a microphone can record replacement sounds.
All right.
I tried plugging one into mine to try this out, but it wasn't having any of it.
Let's play in the cookie factory.
Yeah, let's break in and mess around with the machinery. No one will notice. Ooh, busted.
Let's make some cookies.
Oh, you're in on this then?
Put 5 jelly beans on my cookie, please.
Do it yourself.
1.
And why are you wearing a frog?
That's not enough jelly beans.
Sorry.
This one's for you, Froggy.
Wow, that cookie was more or less the same size as it. Maybe that's why it's immobile on the horse's head. It's been force-fed far too many of these.
3.
This horse is clearly deranged. I've seen enough, time to get out of here. Little, middle and big are 3 lumps with faces who keep losing their footwear.
I'm little. I have cold toes.
You're not wearing anything. How is it just your toes?
A pair of shoes for me, please.
Match the appropriate sized shoes with the appropriate sized moron and then repeat. Over and over and over again. Kids love repetition. 5-year-old me certainly didn't get bored of it.
What's too big? You can build a mouse house.
This might have been my favourite. I seem to recall building rather complex little houses, dragging and dropping as many pieces as the game would allow. Users can do their own thing, or provide the materials requested by the mouse in the picture.
A small half circle. All right.
Living in a robot looks pretty neat. Finally, the number machine is probably the simplest activity. Find numbers and be rewarded with a little animation upon getting it right. The machine would appear to be completely infested. I'd get pest control onto that. One other parental, or teacher feature, is shut behind a fiddly key combination that children couldn't possibly work out. I wonder if they deliberately made it colourless and drab to put off any errant child that found their way in here. Along with activity descriptions, adults can set up profiles for users to track their playtime and correct answers. Still here? Excellent. With the next 2, I'll be moving away from familiar territory. And Trudy's Time and Place house are new to me, so let's explore the bookhouse and see what we can find. Well, I'm going to get this freaking clown staring in through the hole in the wall out of the way first.
Here come Edmo and Houdini.
For the most part, Edmark sort of got away with doing all the graphics in a paint program. Edmo is the exception. This didn't work. Not all children are especially partial to clowns either, so it certainly goes down as a bizarre choice. Indeed, a later online interpretation of this, dated 2001 and built in Flash, saw Edmo become a generic child.
Go under the doghouse.
The last hurrah of the House series a number of years after that, and still in Flash, saw him reverted back to clown status, albeit drawn better. The activity itself is about teaching prepositions, with Edmo and Houdini instructing each other to take up various locations around and within a doghouse.
Go on the doghouse, Houdini.
I'm on the doghouse.
Edmark seems to have started running out of ideas for little critters in the portraits, opting here for a flea, or a tick, something unpleasant. They missed an opportunity with that. It could have been a humour monster. The My Friend activity allows users to switch out descriptive adjectives and view the corresponding body part. The objective here is to get children to add more detail to what they are describing. So, for an unnecessary example, my iMac becomes my all-in-one green iMac. If I were in charge of making something like this, I think I'd throw in an unorthodox word or two. The kind of thing that, while perfectly valid, doesn't appear in children's media, thus teaching them a unique word, like oscillating, or rotund. The letter machine operates a bit like a simplified alphabet book, or a very simplified Dr. Seuss's ABCs.
Kangaroos kick.
Select a letter to hear it spoken, view an example of how it is used, and observe it in both upper and lowercase form.
H. Hippos hop.
The shake animation is a nice touch. The objective of the 3-letter carnival is to boost the user's number of recognisable words. It opens with a simple click on the object to hear it said and spelt scenario, but the meat of this activity is based around word matching. It's nice to see them giving Millie a wider role in this one, although putting a biro next to a chicken for a roller coaster ride has to be one of the more surreal scenarios offered up in the series.
Pen.
A little different to the rest of the activities, this greeting cards creator is quite a neat little addition. Complete with printer integration, users can pick from and customize cards for a variety of occasions, with stickers, or drag letters in to form their own messages. It's not the most customizable, but then it's not supposed to be. This is essentially the first publisher application that kids will have come across. Don't want to overwhelm them. Read a Rhyme takes a handful of nursery rhymes and offers a smattering of selectable conclusions.
The Queen of Hearts, she made some...
Enriched uranium? Oh, hang about, they're supposed to rhyme.
Georgie, Porgy, Pudding, and Pie kissed the chimp and made her cry.
Georgie Porgy was later charged with sexual assault. Let the duck out of the picture frame and the activity throws in a few options that don't rhyme, challenging the user to locate the one that does. And now, on to what feels to me to be the main activity in this bundle.
You can make a story.
Users can pick one of the characters from previous bundles. We've seen them all before. Millie, Sammy, Dorothy, and that cookie-addicted lunatic who looks like a young Bojack.
Harley.
Harley, is it? You know, I've been aware of this horse for pretty much my entire life, and had no idea until now that his name was that. Various clickable options progress the story in slightly different ways, with the only real differences being in the final scene.
When Harley got there, he had a birthday party.
On his own? Upon completion, Bailey, whose shoelaces seem dangerously undone, tut-tut, will read the selections in their entirety. If desired, the whole thing can be printed out. This concludes Bailey's Bookhouse, leaving us with Trudy's Time and Place House, the final early learning house to be released. Stanley's Sticker Stories was a spin-off. I don't think this one had a floppy version either. I can't help but wonder how all these critters managed to get on the property ladder at their age. Putting the time in Time and Place House are the Time Twins.
Hi, I'm Analog Ann.
And I'm Digital Dan.
You can tell time.
We know you can.
Which teach users how to read analog and digital clocks. Throwing in half-pasts and quarter-pasts make the tasks a little trickier, but aside from that, there isn't much variance, although bits seem to keep falling off Analog Ann. I'm surprised they find it funny. If my facial features fell off, I'd be freaking out.
Let's go on a jelly bean hunt.
Navigational and directional activity Jelly Bean Hunt features an ant, and the aftermath of one of Harley's cookie binges. March the ant around the picnic blanket in search of jelly beans, with either lefts, rights and forwards, or north, south, east and west. Each successful journey rewards the user with an animation. While the Time Twins were limited to just the times of the day, the calendar clock incorporates days, months and seconds. The scene is a peaceful cottage in 1956. Nah, not really. It takes the year from the Mac. 56 is what it defaults to when the clock battery's dead. The user can observe a dog and an elephant going about their isolated and repetitive lives, which, aside from the change in the seasons, basically comes across as Groundhog Day. Users can view what's going on in real time, or jump to any point of the year that they choose. The challenge part of the activity instructs users to change time by a particular amount.
2 hours ago, the sun was in the sky.
In order to view specific things, such as winter, shooting stars, or the dog being fed. Blast Off is a space-themed world explorer. Users can spin the globe around, look at specific landmarks across all the continents, and hear a little bit about them.
Time to take pictures of
Me.
the Earth.
What's up with the hippo? Was that a rage quit? That's quite a way to do it. Same deal in the challenge mode, only there are specific instructions on what to find.
Now take the picture.
Ah, there he is. You can expect him to photobomb all of them, thus rendering any scientific work completely void. Reminds me of Space Argument. I'll link that in the description. We're almost through all of them then. One last activity that I thought was quite good.
Let's play in the Symbol Sandbox.
The Symbol Sandbox delivers a visual representation of symbols that one may find on a map, thus assisting familiarity with such things. It lives up to the Sandbox name in that users can lay out whatever they want, but if that seems a bit overwhelming, Foreman Beaver here will set out some scenes for the user to recreate, in symbol form.
Good for you! You finished the map.
With the usual novelty animation serving as a reward every time one is correct, like a test rat getting some cheese every time it presses the right button. And wow, there we go. Admittedly not the most in-depth explanations for these applications, but how else was I going to stuff 23 different activities into a watchable amount of time? It's difficult for me to say for sure whether these stacked up favourably against the plethora of other edutainment offerings from around that time, as I didn't play much else. Still, thumb through the documentation of all of these and one will see that the activities certainly achieve what they set out to, which was justified with impressive sales numbers and long-term relevance. From my perspective, Millie, Sammy and friends sit as the first computer and video game characters that I became aware of, before Mario even. I can safely say that having successfully mastered the activities back then, I would assume that it helped my education along in some sort of capacity. This was a pretty fast-paced tour, and at points I was taking the mick, but overall, I am very fond of these titles, and I'm glad they're archived and available for anyone to re-experience their formative sights and sounds. Various links to various versions can be found in the video description. That'll do it then for this edition of YY's MG. If you enjoyed this and haven't seen the vid I did on Edmark's Thinking Things Edutainment titles, here's an end-card to that. I'm unlikely to touch Edutainment again, but to avoid missing future content on other old Mac stuff, remember to subscribe. Thanks for watching then, and see you next time.